Let's talk further then about the MKP's announcement that Floyd Shivambu is its Secretary General no longer. He's now going to be sent to the benches of Parliament. Bring in Professor Bheki Mngomezulu. Professor, very good evening to you. Good to have you on The Full View. Is what we witnessed today at that MKP briefing, was it the public clipping of Floyd Shivambu's wings, essentially?
It all depends which angle one wants to take from this. My understanding is that there was a balancing act that the MK party leadership decided to opt for. Because on the one hand, they would have taken a punitive action, in which case they would have just punished Floyd Shivambu for flouting what is Section 3, subsection J of the Constitution of the MK party. But they opted to basically balance the act in the sense that they listened to the voices that were coming from the sideline. But then on the other hand, they still recognize the fact that Floyd Shivambo is a seasoned politician and therefore an asset to the MK party. So by the decision of the party, not expelling him, not doing anything that is on the contrary, but instead sending him to the National Assembly, I think that they are basically saying that we understand that we have to act if anyone violates the Constitution, but at the same time, we have to think about the party broadly, which is what they've done. So
but
I don't see any problem in what they did.
But ultimately, Professor, what they've done here is they've cut his influence, at least as far as an official position is concerned, right? Because when Floyd Shivambu joined the MKP, which was just in November, it was top billing. He was going to be a crucial part of even crafting the way in which the country, not the country, but the party governs itself, even its constitution. Now he's going to what is perhaps on paper a less influential position, at least at this stage, where he's just going to be an MP. What does that mean for his influence in the organization? Also, when you consider that where he came from, he was deputy president in the EFF.
Okay, Temegele, let's get facts straight. Firstly, when Floyd Shivambu joined the MK party, he made it clear that he didn't join the MK party for positions. That is the position he has maintained to this day. That is point number one. Point number two, yes, indeed, we are absolutely right in saying that he's a strategist and he was an asset to the EFF, which is why I'm also saying that he's an asset to the MK party. Now the constitution is in place. So if one of his mandates was to make sure that the constitution of the party is delivered, that mandate has been fulfilled. The constitution is there. The same constitution, by the way, that has been invoked in taking a decision to redeploy him. Now that the third point, therefore, is that with him going to the National Assembly, we'll recall that the MK party is currently the official opposition in the National Assembly. So basically, you want a party that is going to reposition itself and do something differently from what the ADA did, for example, when it was the opposition party, but then it didn't want to use that opposition to reposition itself, and eventually it ended up joining the same organization it was criticizing for all these years. So I think the decision, therefore, is a strategic one.
A few things. I know you said you're getting the facts straight. While Floyd Shivambu may have said, even in his interviews last week, that he didn't join the MKP for positions, fact of the matter is the office of the SG is more influential, more powerful in terms of organizational structure, is it not, than the seat of an MP. But more broadly, if you are saying that the constitution which he was helping to work on has now been put in place, it's done, that's not how even the party pitched this. They're not saying, well done, well done, O good and faithful servant, you've put this together, it works, therefore move on to the next task. Even in the MKP's phrasing, they put this as a punitive thing where ultimately it's linked to his visit to Shepherd Bushiri's church in Malawi over the Easter long weekend. On him being a strategic politician, Professor, on that very note, why do you think someone with Floyd Shivambu's political history and experience would have made such a mistake going essentially on an unsanctioned trip, which has now ultimately seen him removed from the office of SG of the MKP?
Temegele, the question you're asking is a very pertinent one. I'm not a first language English speaker, but one thing I know for sure is saying that to err is human. No one, in fact, is always right all the time. There is no person who can be defined as either an omniscient narrator or someone who is infallible. We all make mistakes. In this case, Floyd Shivambo, in his own wisdom, he indicated that he made a mistake by going to Malawi, of course, in his own volition or maybe sent by somebody else. That is neither here nor there at the moment. The point is he went to Malawi. And then he's saying that he accepts the decision by the organization to invoke that Section 3, subsection J, in saying that whenever you take a trip of that nature, it must be sanctioned by the organization. So basically, if you have a constitution of the party, you then implement that constitution without looking at the face of the individual. That's exactly the point some of us have been making, that our justice system at a national level has eyes. You and I commit the same crime, but then the verdict is totally different. So that is something I think the MK party is trying to avoid here. The fact that you have a seasoned politician who has done well for the party does not necessarily mean that if he's found to be in the wrong, then we have to condone that. I think that is where they are coming from.
And very briefly, Professor, in 30 seconds, if you could give advice to Floyd Shivambu about how to navigate even the MK benches, the MKP benches in Parliament, because we know there are many strong personalities from the MKP already in those benches. There's already been some jostling for positions even among them. What does he have to do to remain above the fray, if you will, or to survive whatever political challenge may come? Because not everyone in the party is a fan, as we saw, even with Dudu Zuma insulting him publicly recently.
No, my advice to him would be that he must just be level-headed. This is how politicians survive. Most politicians fail because either they are power mongers or some of them don't even understand the same politics they're living with. So in this case, I think he must be level-headed and then treat his colleagues in the MK party who are in the National Assembly, those he found there, both new and old, as colleagues. Then let his work speak for him and not him beating his own trumpet. If you were to do that, obviously then he has a bright future.
Professor Bheki Mngomezulu, good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time this evening.